then thunked the heavy mug back onto the counter. "She'll be back when she hears what's happened. Any day that fancy carriage of hers will come rattling down the road, spraying mud on all us common folk as she comes to claim her own." I froze, straining to hear the rest. What? What had happened at my home? Father's summons now seemed ominous rather than exciting. The proprietor strode through the crowd then and approached me, his sleeves rolled up to his elbows. "There's a man willing to take you to Trevelyan's outer gates, but no further. He's waiting by the door." I stiffened as his direct address lifted my cloak of obscurity. "Thank you, sir." "But save yourself the trip. With all the goings-on at Trevelyan, they won't be looking for help." Me? In service? The mud and rain must have done more damage to my appearance than I'd thought. Both men at the bar pivoted to face me as the man spoke, their two pairs of eyes seeing me for the first time. I fancied a light of recognition glowed from Hamish's face, but Tom Parsons merely observed me with a hint of annoyance at the interruption. I rose and pushed back my shoulders, bestowing a gracious parting smile toward them both. "Good evening, gentlemen." I moved past them, holding my breath as I squeezed between the tightly packed patrons, and then turned back. "You are most correct, by the way. The fortune does exist. I'll warn you, though, it's guarded by the princess of the castle, and I suggest that you do not underestimate her." With a polite smile, I turned again toward the door and sailed through the crowds. Outside, rain poured off the metal roof of the porch, creating a curtain between me and the waiting cart. I ducked and ran to the vehicle, where a man hoisted me into the dark chamber and slammed the door behind me. We only travelled a mile or two, for our own carriage had been nearly home when it had broken down, but the silent drive seemed endless. Perhaps by the time I reached Trevelyan and found help, the driver who'd stayed behind with Mother would have the carriage repaired. Looking up at the impressive fortress before us, I wondered how those men could even doubt the existence of Father's legendary hidden fortune. I'd only glimpsed it once, but I'd always known of it, like one knows of the Queen without ever meeting her. The idea of it had long haunted me, and I'd peppered Father with questions about it until one day when he'd given me his most direct answer on it. "I'll tell you where it is when I'm dying," he'd said, with his usual gruff dismissiveness, and I'd accepted that answer. At that time in my life, I believed him. Chapter 2. What you plant, you should harvest and enjoy without delay, for one never knows when his time will be up. Notebook of a Viticulturist. Disembarking at the gates, I sprinted toward an abandoned barn and huddled under the eaves to wring out the ends of my sopping wet cloak and peer up at my destination. Trevelyan Castle's 3 towers sliced upwards through the curtain of smoggy rain, rising from the grey hills that embraced it, and I deeply dreaded what I should find there. "The matter is urgent," said Father's missive that had called Mother and me home from abroad, and I couldn't imagine what would have made him write such a thing, or what would have made him write at all. When the carriage harness had broken as we'd rounded the coastal road a ways back, Mother had of course seen it as a bad omen, for she could spot bad luck in a sunny day in July. But now, with the troubling words of that Hamish man from the inn sweeping through my mind, the whole world held an eerie chill that even I could not dismiss as I neared my home. A shock of utter aloneness bolted through me as the cold wind penetrated to my skin. It was not the sort of isolation that lifted in the presence of others. It sat much deeper and longer lasting than that. The rumble of horse hooves thudded through my reverie. On the wooded path snaking through our woods, a black-cloaked rider leaned into his massive stallion, grasping his mane as they thundered toward me through the rain. A shiver convulsed me, and I tucked myself into the shadows. What had that stranger been doing at our home? His beast panted closer, looming large and terrible. The rider turned to look at me, rain spraying off his dark curls under the hood, and I caught sight of nearly black eyes set in a strong, stubbled face. Leaning back in one graceful move, the stranger reined in his horse and redirected him toward the barn where I crouched. A slash of lightning illuminated the white.